events if you feel like. Usually we announce the coming up events, but because we are in summer mood now, there is none to announce immediately. It's going to be a little bit quiet, even though a few things are coming up. Now today we have a rather difficult topic, and that's why we didn't have the enormous attendance that we sometimes have, but we still insisted on maintaining the event because we believe it's important for us as a club and to explore further the responsibility that journalists may have in reporting suicide. So Professor Paul Lee is the director of the Center for Suicide Research and Prevention. He's very expert on the topic and very committed to it. He's just back from an international conference on Montreal about suicide prevention, and he's basically here with us to share his experience. He was telling us that the way we report the suicide can have very important consequences, especially for the family, one way or the other. So please welcome Professor Lee.
Thank you, Florence. And
Thank you.
yes, I don't upset your lunch. And then we just got back from the IASP conference, the World Congress for Suicide Prevention in Montreal. And actually, during the conference, one of the important topics is just about the newspaper reporting. And actually, they also say something about how can we use the social media, I think, as a means, to promote suicide prevention. Now, I tried to make the talk within 20 minutes, and also I changed the topic a bit. We say that from controversial practice of reporting suicide news to building a safety net to curb the spread of the new suicide method. So, I'm from the University of Hong Kong, and then the Center for Suicide Research Prevention has been established for about 40 years now, and it is the first of this kind in the university in Asia, and then we do research, we do education, and then we do training as well. And actually we do run some courses, I think, for the news reporter. I think it is how to report, I think, the suicide news responsibly. But usually we do not want to put it as guidelines because journalists do not need guidelines. But don't tell me what should I do, because you are the professional. So what we like to do is give us some recommendation, and I would like to be showing some data. To see, hey, if that is what happened and that's what is going to happen, so can we give a rethink? Can we do it better? And then we really like to bring the media people. I think not in the opposite side of the table. We sit around the table and then try to find out the best way how we move ahead. Now, just to give you something about, I'm sure you know about Hong Kong as good as I do. I think I was told by Nani that you have been staying here for the past 30 years, right? So that is a population, and actually in Hong Kong, our suicide rate is not that high. It's about 12.8. I think, and then if the age adjust rate, what do you mean by age adjust? Because in Hong Kong we have a very high aging population, and then the elderly people, they have a high suicide rate. So if you, after you do the age standardization in terms of the world average, we only have 9.8. So actually we are doing quite good. There's 7 leading causes of death. Now when you look at why we say there's 7 leading causes of death, you see how much money the government spend in doing the infectious diseases and all this sort of thing. It's only about 8 or 9 the leading cause of death. But the 7 leading cause of death, but the government, they do not put sufficient attention and resources and try to deal with this problem. Now that is a suicide rate in Hong Kong. I think in 2003, I think if you were here in Hong Kong at that time, that is where the SARS period, I think we have 18.6. I think now since then it has come down quite significantly, and so we have the situation like this. So I still remember in Montreal, the World Health Organization, they like to make a pledge to ask all the organization members and try to reduce the suicide rate by 10% in 10 years' time. But actually, in Hong Kong, I think our suicide rate managed to come down. I think in 5 years' time, I think by more than 30%. And I'm sure that we have the Samaritans here, we have the suicide prevention people here. I mean, they are the ones who are actually in the community, who actually contribute, I mean, to this work too. So I think you might know something about Hong Kong. The jumping is the leading cause of death. I think, as you know, Hong Kong, 80% of people live in a high-rise building. It provides very accessible and with a high lethality. So that is the jumping. And then the hanging is also another one. But then since 1998, there is a new method we call the charcoal burning. The charcoal burning, I mean, for those people who might not know, the charcoal burning is something like this. It's we burn the charcoal in a small room, and then they die from this poisoning from, you know, this carbon monoxide. But since the publicity of this thing, now what I'd like to show you is that would this sort of picture would appear in the New York Times or in the Washington Post or in the French newspaper. I mean, you won't, right? Because it's color, with details, and actually it tell you what actually happened. So it's very instructive. So if I really want to learn something, how to die from charcoal burning, I can read through the whole thing and I can reproduce the whole thing. So that is what we call a very painful experience. Since 1998, more than 3,000 people, they die from charcoal burning. If from 1%, and go up to nearly 25% of the death, which is accounted by the charcoal burning. That is now, what happened when we see the charcoal burning? It increased the suicide number, but the other method has not much changes. So what we say that this new method itself, it attracts a new cohort of the population into the suicide population. What I mean that if this method wasn't there, and there would not be that many people who kill themselves. Because in one of our studies, we looked at the coroner's court, we found out that there's people who die from charcoal, they are middle-aged, they have jobs, they have less mental illness. These are the protective factors for not being killed themselves. But now, because of the charcoal burning, it does attract this particular group of people, I think. So now, there's this very important slide. That is in Hong Kong at the left-hand side, that is the Taiwan. So when it goes up, it comes down. But what happened in Japan, in Korea, and in Singapore, the rise of the charcoal, it has not stopped. We have been visiting Korea and Japan a few times, and then they really like to learn from us what have we done to try to bring the charcoal burning suicide down. But what we have seen is it's very worrying. It is because of the increase itself, it will bring into 2,000 or 3,000 people more death each year because of this method. So that is what we call the additional death. And also when you're looking at the charcoal burning with the other method as well, what you can see, I think this pointer is not very good because it doesn't appear on the screen. What it means that, what it means, it doesn't work. What it means that all this additional death, it is coming from charcoal burning. All this additional death. So that's why we learn from this very painful experiences, and then we do not want to have this again. Now then, what we say, hey, then what has anything to do with the media? And then in a lot of study we have been showing, and then we have a paper published in Lancet, and then in BMJ, it showed that the media were found to be an important role in facilitating the spread of the new suicide method. Now, for the social media, whatever printed in the printed media, it will be transferred in the social media as well. So what you can see, there is a big changes there, and also through the internet, and also it is also one of the problems. And also we are based on the suicide news, based on the record itself, it also showed that there are some people, it showed that, well, when we look at the death note or the death investigation of these people, they say that, well, I learned this from the social media. And then when the police do the investigation, they're searching through their computers, the searching, they found this sort of searching history, I think, in the thing. So what happened? Now, this is the three very famous stars, who killed themselves, and they're from Korea, from Taiwan, and then from Hong Kong, the Leslie Chong. I think you might have heard about him. I think he died, I think on 1st of April, I think 2003, just in the Mandarin Hotel there. What happened? After these people died, it triggered off, I think, is an excessive number of suicide. This bar, this bar, this is where the incident occurred, and they bring the suicide number up. So once again, and when these celebrity they commit suicide, you have an extended coverage. I mean, when you're looking at Apple Daily, especially for Leslie Chong died, I think for the next 2 weeks, they all appear at the front page, very sensational. So it will induce this copycat effect for those people who are vulnerable, and they will be easily identified with him, and then they might take this similar action. Now, this is one thing, I don't know whether you're aware of this, it's what we call the helium suicide. It just happened, I think, 2 years ago, and that is when you do the party balloon, when you buy a can and the party balloon. Now, that is what happened. So that is the number of event, it is happening, and then we're looking at but it seems that it also is about to take off. Now, when we were in Montreal, and then we meet with the European and also the Australian, they also said that I think the use of helium is also getting more and more popular now. And they said that you can order this suicide toolkits from the Weibo, and you find something on the, you have a bag, and then you have a plastic bag, you get a tube there, they try the air out, and then you die from suffocation. That is a helium suicide. Now what happened, you see, what we see here, they start to spread to other age groups. Originally, we thought, it's only restricted to the men, young age, but it has spread to a wider population. Now, that is our concern. I think if it reaches to a wider population, that means your population base will be much wider, and there will be more and more people likely who make use this method, who's going to kill themselves. So we learned from the painful experiences from charcoal. So now we try to change the engagement, and then so we managed to talk to the police, talk to the coroner's court, talk to the poison center, and then we try to talk to the media people, and how should we restrain this reporting of this new method. I mean, if it has not been reported, I think that it is not known, and then that will reduce the chance for other people who will use this method. So our center will work with the police, will work with these people, and then they try this. And actually, we get the police people come, and then they all come here because they realize that we have to do it together. Because this time, if we do not want to see the spread like the charcoal, and then so the police people come, and all other people come. So now, the Apple Daily, I'm sure you heard about this local newspaper, very popular, very sensational. They actually, we talked to the director, we talked to the chief editor, and then we managed to convince them that by doing this, it actually is too hard. So they voluntarily, they take the things down. So we thought that we are very grateful for what they have done. So we went to Taiwan because all the so-called video news published by Apple Daily is not done in Hong Kong, it's done in Taiwan. So they done in Taiwan, they ship it back to Hong Kong Daily. So we went to Taiwan to meet these people there, and then try to give them the data, and then give them all the evidence, and then they also try to be more careful, I think, in reporting the suicide news now. So we actually did something for the local newspaper, I think in the Hong Kong Economic Journal, and actually we do a paper for the South China Morning Post as well. And then we try to encourage these people, hey, yes, it is important that you report the news, but please pay more attention to those vulnerable people who might be affected by your reporting. So we managed to talk to the editor, and the editor, they come back to us. So now we have a surveillance system. Every morning, one of our staff, we scan through all the suicide news being reported, and I think it is not right. So we wrote to the news editor, we reported to the news council, and then we would like to promote these good practices. Now, it might not, for the Western press, you say, well, we don't do this sort of thing, which is true. I think when we share this news, this research finding with the people from the West, they actually, well, we don't put this method because it is a core practice. That is what they've been brought up. That's what they've been trained not to do this. But in Hong Kong, I think, or in Asia, it seems to be, I think, the sensational news is always had a market. So what we are saying that can we do something in the education, in the university before they go to work, and we also do more raising awareness of a problem among the news profession. So we managed to do this, and also we managed to talk to Google. I think the Google now they like to come up with some help. I mean, with SBS. So if someone is typing to say that I want to kill myself, so there will be some help seeking, and then if out the SBS, the phone number will come again, and then just to warn them, or just well, if you need help, I think you will get help there. And also last week, I think the Facebook people come to Hong Kong too, and then they talk to us. They said, well, is there anything they can do? It seems that this social media, they realize there's a social corporate responsibility there that they would like to contribute to participate. So what we like to do is to create a platform such that everybody can contribute, I think, in engaging these people. So we managed to talk to the police now and talk to the fire services, because actually this hidden gas is classified as the category 2 gas. It should not be transported within the subway. But now, at present, when you order the hidden gas, you pick it up in the subway. Somebody delivers it to you, and then you give them the money, you exchange it. And actually, this is illegal. So now they are trying to stop this. And so now the government is trying to use some regulation and just to warn this distributor the way how you distribute the gas, it is not legal. So what we see in this graph, the one go very fast is the charcoal burning. The one go very slow is the helium suicide. So what we really hopefully to happen is that the helium suicide, we can press it down. Otherwise, if it goes like the charcoal, I think there will be more 200 or 300 people. I think they will kill themselves every year. This is what we're talking about. So I think we have an international collaboration. I think the WHO, the ISB, they also really like to find out, hey, how can we do it in their own country too? So what I like to say is there's many the media guidelines there. I'm sure if some in French, some in English, some in Korean, but actually sometimes it is difficult to engage the news profession because it's a lot of people, they are very easy to jump into the conclusion that they are the bad guy, they are the one who caused the trouble. But at the same time, actually they are the one who can help, can contribute. I think the spreading, I think the suicide prevention means and all this sort of thing. So we really hopefully, I think the take-home message is that I think the suicide prevention, the only question is.
Can you move it back to the last?
Yes. We like to say the consequences of those reporting practices. I think sometimes wildlife family and others, the survivors, the privacy, because sometimes when they look for news, sometimes they're very, very intruding. I think they put the family photo and all these people there, and for no reason whatsoever. Actually, we have met a survivor family, and then they said, well, we are not a celebrity. Why you put my mom picture in the newspaper? And then because of this, because the grandmom didn't know that her daughter committed suicide, but when she read the news, and then she know. So it will remain so much damage. And then they said, oh, when you sell the newspaper, just one day's story, but leave the lifelong pain, I think, for the survivors. So they say that we have to be more careful in this. And suicide news become more sensational, which will lead to copycat effect. I think the data has been shown. And then we have shown that every 1% increase in the Google search of the suicide news in Chaco, it increased 2% of the suicide death the day after. And I think we have shown this. And that's the situation with the criteria adopting controversial practices. Sometimes I think the news reporter, they are very energetic to get the news, but sometimes they just have to be more careful and more sensitive, I think, to the family members. Do digital regulation have a significant impact? I think that is the question we like to ask the journalists. Whenever you do anything, please stop and think and do it again. And hopefully by this thinking and then the way you do it will be different. The take-home message, I think the media literacy is very important. I think the social services can be provided assistance to the family and survivors, and also the suicide prevention professional and intensely engaged journalists. So I really think that I think the engagement is very important. I think the media, I think we have the opportunity, have the tools, and then to really to contribute. I think to have this vulnerable people, because I always say that the media people are supposed to protect the vulnerable people anyway, right? You report the news and then but by the same token, if you do not report it responsibly, I think there are some vulnerable people, there are some disadvantaged people, they will be penalized. I think they will be affected by your reporting. So, acknowledgement, I think so far we are very grateful, I think, for the support from the government, from the coroner's court, from the police officers, the fire service. And once again, we say that it is not a one people job. We do need a multi-layered intervention. We need the SBS, we need the Samaritans, we need a lot of people that come together and work together and then try to make the things better. I didn't bring enough newsletter here. The newsletter, we call it Embracing Hope. It's very important. I think that is the newsletter of our centers limited to the chair. I will hope is the best way, I think, to prevent the people to kill themselves. Okay, so I do hope that by sharing with you, I can some of our research funding and hopefully using your platform, I think, to help this to spread this suicide prevention effort. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Professor. It's very interesting. I didn't realize that. I knew we always know vaguely that there is a connection between reporting and what may happen next. I didn't realize it was so straightforward. Do you have questions? I would, obviously, so maybe, yes, please go ahead. Because it's not very convenient, if you don't mind, we could just move the mic to one another. Yeah, thank you. And introduce yourself, please.
My name is Dan Plain. I'm with the Intellectual Property Consultancy here. I'm just wondering, I mean, obviously, or at least it seems obvious in relation to celebrities committing suicide, maybe some of the stigma or inhibitions people might have had going away because of the nature of the celebrity who did it. But with the helium and the coal burning, I'm just wondering if you've had an opportunity to speak with survivors and whether it's simply the ease with which you can do it, maybe it's less painful, it doesn't seem to be as gruesome or take as big of a step to do it. Is that really what's driving it, or is it something else?
So far, we have collected about 30 cases, I think, from the police. I think, but we have not managed to interview any survivors yet. But what happened, according to the police investigation, they go through the computer of some of the disease. They find, or they're searching for final exit. I mean, the book. I mean, and then they find how they do the helium suicide. They put 2 tanks there and then do this. And actually, they only need 1 tank. They will do the job. But because they do exactly follow what this book it has been saying, they put 2 tanks there and then they kill themselves. But well, I don't spread it outside. But I was told by the doctors that the healing, yes, it will be very fast. I mean, even faster than using the charcoal burning. Because once you put a plastic bag, you get a chip there, you dry the air out, then you suffocation. And then the suffocation is still painful, but the duration will be much shorter. And then the lethality is very high. It's even higher than the charcoal burning. Because the charcoal burning, you need to burn at least for half an hour to build up the carbon dioxide content. I was told by one of the New Zealander friends, they said that one of the people they try to do it in New Zealand, they needed to burn down the house, because they try to do it in the garage, but they cannot build up sufficient carbon monoxide. Right? So, but they burn down the house, so he's safe. But yes, but this one we have not. We just started to do it, so now we hopefully we get the police, I think the support, and in such that we can contact these people. But these people sometimes, the survivor, the stigma, sense of guilt, sometimes it's very difficult to reach.
So sorry, just to follow up, so what do the guidelines say specifically about reporting on that? Is the reporting supposed to play up the painfulness of it or the discomfort that comes, or just not talk about that aspect at all?
Yeah, I think if I were you, we try to advise the news reporter, don't mention about the name of helium. Just say that it's a gas. So see, once you promote this, I think the people they start to learn about this, and then they will do it. And it is not right to say something which is not true. I mean, it is painful, but relatively speaking, it actually is less painful than the other method. But what we are saying that especially if it's not a celebrity suicide, if it's not something which is well known, why is a young people, they lose their jobs, suffer from depression, and then they put the helium suicide on the back, and then you put that on the front news. That's not what is the value. I mean, what message you like to bring to the community? I mean, if you say that we do not sufficient work for the young people, it is fine. But in the whole reporting, they are not saying this. They are just saying that someone used this new method to kill themselves. It's something sexy, something trendy, so they promote it. But I do believe that these journalists, they might not intentionally to do it because they thought that it is news. But I always say that in the news, if there is an after effect, then we have to be a bit more careful.
So would you promote laws to stop? I mean, in some countries it's the case. You do not report suicide. Or maybe at least you don't report the way the suicide happened. So is that what you would argue for?
In Austria, there is a story about reporting the suicide in the subway junction in Vienna. They banned it. After they banned it, they actually subsequently, for the next 6 months, the suicide rate comes down. Now, of course, but when you go out to tell the news reporter to stop, there's a logo. You will not have any friends. They will not listen to you. They say, well, come on, that's my job, right? You cannot ask me not to do it. But we always say that you can tune it down, but at the same time, by reporting the suicide news, you also can report someone who experienced a similar problem, and then they choose not to kill themselves. Find another way to live happily, successfully, and try to counteract this. Just to, when the people that read the news, hey, there is an outlet, there's an exit. I do not have the end in this one. But when you reported the news, you always have that much space, right? Everybody is competing for space. So now we talk to the Apple lady, and then they say that they have a e-version of the newspaper. Because the e-version, which will be different from the printed version, because they have less restriction on the news, so such that they can put more link, and such that it can provide a supplementary information for that. So I think that is something.
But to my question, do you think that a legal framework would help? I mean, if it was clearly written in the case of Hong Kong, that you can, which way and what you can report or not?
I think it would be getting to the muddy water, because they've got the censorship, about this, especially the post-1997, when you're trying to do this. It will not, there must be some politician and say, well, if you cannot report this, what about domestic violence? What about this? What about this? So it will be getting a bit more complicated. I do hope it's more professional.
Well, I think the only way you can have all the newspapers regulate their activities through legal liability, or perhaps through the Privacy Commissioner stepping in. That might be within their boundaries.
I think for the Privacy Commission, we do have some discussion with them. They said all the dead people, they do not protected by the privacy law.
Oh, what's
So-
that?
You are dead, you are done. So
But the family's
I'm gonna say it's a claim, it's a
Yeah.
claim the family would have.
yeah,
It's a
the
family.
family will have. So that's why when you see the dead people appear on the newspaper, they can appear the full name. But for the injured people, they only have not a complete name. I mean, that is the practice in Hong Kong. But yes, I think the family member. But I do hope that if we can do a bit more awareness, the promotion, and the good practices. But the very important thing to do is not the local people to show them how to do it. It's the foreign people who come to tell them, hey, we don't do this in the US, we don't do it in New Zealand, we do not do it in Australia. Then they might listen. You know what I mean? I mean, here, you might know, Hong Kong has one of the most densely populated newspaper and magazine in any part of the world. I think every day we are talking about 7 or 8 free newspaper and another 20 or so. I mean, they are competing, they are fighting for survival. So anything you sell, they'll do it.
I have a question. If on your first or second slide you said that the suicide rate in Hong Kong is 12.8, what is that in comparison to, for example, in the UK?
In Hong Kong, it is every year we have about 900 people they kill themselves every year. We have 7 million people, right? About 900. In the United Kingdom, I think they have one of the lowest rate in Europe. I think this year I think they're about 9 per 100,000.
Because the interesting thing about the newspapers in the UK is that they don't actually graphically say it. And as a reader, when you read about someone's death, that may be not by natural causes, actually as a reader you're left questioning and wondering yourself and speculating how that person actually died. It doesn't actually say it, but you're pretty sure by the end of the story that it's not natural causes. And then perhaps a week or two later, once everything's kind of died down a bit, I'm talking about people like politicians or whatever, then the real reason will come out. It'll be brought out actually in a more humane way. So they don't actually show diagrams, but they will in the end get the message out. And I think that's not dictating to the media what they should and shouldn't say. That's actually, as Eric and I were talking about, it's like a code of conduct. It's how actually responsible the media should be. And really that's got to come from the top down. So their bosses and their editors and the owners of the group need to be seeing that. So those kind of stats surely must help if you were to go in with a stat like that. To show pictures of an arrow, and unfortunately a friend of mine jumped off a building ex-Papoy, and there was, in all the Chinese newspapers, there was the red arrow from the top of the building, and dotted line, and his parents were devastated. But in the Western people, they didn't report it like that. Definitely not in the UK, they didn't. Online, there was nothing. The only publications that published it were all the Chinese publications, with red arrows and red lines as to how he jumped and where he ended up. So obviously, readers are going to find that to be actually quite easy to do. If they've got suicidal thoughts, they're going to think that's actually not a bad thing to do. So I think it's really got to come from the top down as your organisation has got to go out and speak to, right at the very top.
I think there are many factors there. I mean, it's good that you raise this up. One thing what we are seeing that is that the media profession in the West and the East, they are also very different. For those people who work in the Chinese newspaper, usually they are the newly graduate. I mean, they're not being paid well. They're not that experienced. After 5 years, you will become the sub-editor anyway. But in the Western newspaper, they tend those people, they are more experienced. So these people, I think they will be, what I said, I think it's the experience itself, it helps. When we do a media training, I think I was told by the so-called photographer reporter, and then they said that if I go to the suicide scene, if I didn't manage to take up that bloody picture and then bring it to the editor, I will be scored off by the editor. how come the other newspaper, they can get this bloody paper, and how come you didn't get this bloody paper? So this sort of competition, but with doesn't have a very,
With no education.
yeah. So I think this sort of awareness, education,
No ethics.
I think is important.
Yeah.
What about suicide tourism? I had a friend who was managing a hotel, and he mentioned there were a couple of mainland tourists who came and killed themselves in the bathroom in charcoal. Is that an issue, or even on the radar? And not to make a new issue with that, just the way it is.
Which hotel?
Tourists.
Yeah,
And a hotel, one of the Chinese hotels.
It has not come to.
Well, no, I mean, they're away from the family, so
Yeah.
the body
Yeah.
being brought home is not a
Right.
concern, so.
Yeah.
I think the number has not reached a level that will raise the alarm yet. I mean, like we also have talked about what about the suicide among the foreign domestic household. I think yes. I think we have 300,000 of them. I think when we have 300,000 every year, we have 2 or 3, or because when you bring back to the number, because we have say 10 or 12 per 100,000. So I'm not saying that one is too many for suicide, but for that, it has not reached the level that, because, I mean, I start to joke about this, well, everybody is going to die, and just don't jump the queue. Okay, you will take your time. Okay.
Kind of lost my train of thought there. But obviously a top-down.
Sorry, can you just introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry, Billy Lamb from the Samaritan. So if it's top-down, it's an important way to go down, to trickle down. So you go to the editor, go to the owner of, newspaper owner. But what about if you also try to reach to the journalist students or those who are getting training?
Yeah,
Journalists as well?
we have a school of journalism in Hong Kong. Actually, we invited to go there, to do this sort of training. But as I told you, I mean, these people, when they come out, they forget everything. And suddenly, I mean, it's a practice. This is a practice thing. So you really have to talk to, so this time, it's been to talk to the Apple Daily. So we talked to the sub-editor, the chief editor, and also the publisher. So when you present them with the data, they say, all right, okay. So then they will tell down. So it's very much top down. They tell them, hey, we are not looking for bloody pictures. We are looking for a bit more healthy reporting. And to our surprise, I think just 2 weeks ago, I think the chief editor, he called back. He said, I thought it's only bad news sell. But now, actually, the good news, it sells too. So they actually, in their version, they said that they had 100,000 hit or something like that. Because when they do for the advertisement, every hit means money. It is currency. So they start to aware that you do not have to report all this bad thing in order to actually get attention. Because the Hong Kong people, they get used to it. They have so much better. So this doesn't become news anymore. So the good thing become news. So according to their response, so we try to come up with some good news, or even the bad news, can we turn the table around and put something good there, and then try to balance it out, and just for the people who have similar problem, and they would be another perspective.
And you also talk a lot about engagement with Apple Daily and the other major newspaper in Hong Kong. Are they responsive? Are they receptive to your engagement?
Some are more naughty and some are less naughty. We managed to talk to the press council. The press council, the 2 most popular newspapers, they do not, the 3 popular newspapers, they do not belong to the press council. One is the Oriental Daily, Sun, and the Apple Daily. These 3 compose of the major circulation of the local news, but they do not belong to the press council. So they have no obligation whatsoever but we like to exert some pressure, some goodwill, some human contact, some research data. And I think that Apple Daily is the one for me, I feel that it's very forthcoming. They have spent a lot of money to do this video news, but after we complained about this, they took it down. So you will not be able to find it, the video. If you look at the newspaper, after you brought the newspaper, tomorrow it will disappear. But you read on the video news, on the YouTube thing, every time the people will come in and will read it again, and then we show them how many times this news has been read by so many people. They didn't know about it. Then we show them that is very destructive, they could be causing damaging, and plus we show them the data of the Google search and how much it increased. Then they started to bite the bullet. They started to say, all
I
right.
think they know about it already, that's why they do it. They've all got those analytics. They can all go back in and get those analytics. That's the reason they pay to do it. They have a Google account and they're doing it. So they're not surprised, they're just pretending they're surprised. They absolutely know what's going on.
But at least they are doing something. They are doing something. If no one challenged them,
Absolutely.
they will continue to do it.
But you know, your other angle could be that because I think if they were really smart, and you may want to chuck this into the mix when you're talking to them, is lots of blue chip companies, you know, very influential blue chip companies in Hong Kong will not advertise in Apple Daily, even although the circulation is one of the highest. They won't advertise because of the irresponsible journalism. So actually, if they got their act together and cleaned themselves up just a little bit, and even if it was in that direction, they'd probably find that actually they were more profitable purely by the amount of blue chip advertisers that would put their money there, and maybe not necessarily Tycoon Powers or Singtel. No?
The
depends how they change it.
loses their contract for other reasons. But the YouTube company don't go there because they're told not to go there. No,
Yeah,
not because
exactly.
of irresponsible
Well,
journalism,
no,
unfortunately.
No, you're right, but it's the type of people that read it and the demographic. So if somehow that changed slightly, even ever so slightly, it may have an impact on them.
I mean, when you work for the AFP, my name's Eric Bouchard, it's quite interesting because I'm Eric Bouchard, I work for AFP News Agency, and I'm actually drawing up an ethics charter for AFP at the moment, so this is very relevant. And when you go to these newspapers, do they have codes of ethics? Do they show you them? Because it has to be self-regulation, it has to be in a code of
They
ethics.
might have read by nobody.
Everybody have to go. They just put it
With respect.
in the drawer.
Yeah.
They never think about it.
But I mean, there is a particular problem in Hong Kong, because the British press doesn't print. You know, it's not just suicide, it's accident plus crashes, squashed bodies, diagrams of kids being run over by cars. It's a particular issue in Hong Kong, and there's a market for it. But the way my route, I mean, as a journalist, I don't like legislation to control when you print, but publish. But to me, the route is through the drawing up codes of ethics and respecting them.
We are preparing a recommendation again. We have a revised version of the recommendation. It's going to distribute it to all news agencies, and that extends to not only printed media and go to the social media as well. Because nowadays, DSTV, we are doing the final proofreading now. So if you do have any suggestion, I think it would be good. And I always think that how come we, Hong Kong, always claim ourselves as a global city, and then in certain aspects, we are not that global. We are still,
Very thorough.
there's something that we are really lagging behind, the good practice.
Yes, sure. I'd like to. I'm Johnny Mo from DBC5. I'd just like to pick up on the farm domestic workers.
Yes.
Please clarify the suicide rate among the farm domestic workers, because I used to work in the newspaper, and over the recent years there have been reports of suicide. And I would omit the names because that's how we practice it. But then the next day, we're a community paper, and then the next day we see it in mainstream media. People are reporting the names, and then we get calls in the office saying, why is our family, our family or friend, names identified there, and it's worrying for people in the Philippines. So I'd like to understand more about this, and yes, the suicide rates in your study.
Yeah, I think we do have the suicide death from the domestic household. The number is not a lot. As I said, one is too many. Yes, I think the well-being of the domestic household should be our concern. And actually, I talked to the Filipino council. I think one day when we met in a meeting, they are saying that yes, I think they are interested in looking after the well-being of the people in here. Also, not only their own well-being, is the children who've been left behind, or their family being left behind. I think this is something that it became one of the blind spots in Hong Kong. I mean, it is sad. We make good use of these people to help us to do our job. But at the same time, we forgot. I think they also have a family who've been left behind. And I think this is something that I think Hong Kong should be elevated, so we lift up our concern, I think, to this people.
We're coming to the end of the session, but one last question.
Right, Colonial Eye. I worked in Apple Day before, so I would like to comment. Actually, I do not think, my impression is reporters working in the Chinese language press, they do not have the traditional culture of being sensitive on suicide news. So, but I think on top of talking to the editor-in-chief, working with the Hong Kong Journalists Association may be another way, because like editor-in-chief come and goes, and now they have a new editor-in-chief. So yeah, like I think if some sort of workshop with the HKJA and changing the minds of the journalists will be helpful, and able to establish this tradition. And then one other comment I want to make is, other than the print and the social media, there are many online, very small agency news now, and then they are composed of volunteers, and it would be good if your guideline can include those small online.
Very good suggestion. We should take it up. I mean, yes, we do talk to the News Executive Association, the Journalists Association, but the journalists, they always complain. If you ask me not to do this, how should I answer to my boss? I mean, so they are the one.
Yes, both way.
Yeah, so we need to tackle two levels of engagement, the boss and then the worker as well.
Have you considered trying to get a newspaper to actually publish the results of your research and say, we the media are as responsible? I mean, I think it'd be an interesting story, and I think it would be great, particularly if a Chinese newspaper published, it'd be easier to take around than a research report if you actually had an article that had been published in a Chinese paper, for example, saying, studies show when newspapers report vividly or too vividly, suicide rates go up. That would be a powerful message, I think.
We have managed to get a Chinese article, an entry in one of the Chinese newspaper, and that's it. And then if you want to run it another time, they said, well, it's not news anymore. No, we run it again. But on the 10th of September, that is the World Suicide Prevention Day. So every year we have the World Suicide Prevention Day, and hopefully on the 10th, then what we are working on now is to bring the Facebook and bring this whole media thing, and then to come on the spotlight again, and how we can contribute it, and work together and then for the suicide prevention.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Pauly. Thank you all for your participation.